Guten Abend. Herzlich willkommen zum 149. Livestream. Mein Name ist Ralf Ricker und das ist Andrew Judd.
And this is Ralph Ricker.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I already told them because I didn't know that you know that how
Your name?
we start this. Yeah. We have no name tags. Dieser Stream wird etwas anders als sonst. Stefan hat sich verkleidet und spricht heute nur Englisch. Hopefully. Hopefully. Die Präliminarien sind heute eher kurz gehalten. Es gibt die Möglichkeit, uns zu unterstützen. Stefan ist heute quasi abwesend. Er steht auf der anderen Seite drüben und muss noch einen Job fertig machen. Und zu dritt hätten wir gar keinen Platz im Bild, alle gleichzeitig. Das geht sich von der Breite her gar nicht aus. We have so broad shoulders that we don't fit in the screen. Three of us, so Stefan is dislocated today.
Okay.
Der Stream wird heute größtenteils auf Englisch laufen. Andrew kommt aus Kanadien und you've been here already once in the stream?
Once or twice, maybe.
And once last year when we did the last workshop. Mm-hmm. Und im Moment haben wir wieder einen Plein-Air-Workshop. Wir haben auch Live-Gäste da. Heute wird Andrew uns eine Demo zeigen, beziehungsweise mehrere, und wir lassen uns einfach überraschen, was wir heute alles lernen. I told them that you're a great painter, but today you will be dancing.
You shouldn't be lying like this.
Okay, I don't lie. Do you want to take over?
Do I want to say something?
Yeah.
So this is Ralf Ricker. I don't know if he introduced himself. Stefan Nützel managed to talk me into coming to do this thing because he's so busy. He's going to pay me later. I hope.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I have to look where?
You look here. Just tell the people that they have the possibility to pay some money.
www.stefannützel.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's his website, but you want to go to paypal.me. Saint Nu? Is he like Saint Nu?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's great. And Patreon. So anyhow, basically, no matter how, you need to send money to this guy because he's worth it. Yeah, Stefan Nützel. Oh, this is. He's got Facebook. No, you're not on Facebook anymore. What's going on?
But soon he will be on Facebook again.
Oh, he's going to be on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Since February, he tells us that he will be soon on Facebook,
okay.
So we don't change the graphics.
So he's going to be incognito.
Within years, he will be on Facebook again.
Okay, good. That's good. We want him on Facebook. We want him everywhere. Yeah.
Yes, but not here in the stream today.
No, and there's an Instagram thing. Stefan _Nützel. Okay, this is good.
And in the description, in der Beschreibung unten gibt es auch noch die Möglichkeit, direkt eine Überweisung zu machen.
So everything that
Kunstglitch
is what
sehr lustig. This is what they see.
This is what they're seeing.
This is what they see.
See this bare bum back here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's why you got
at least
kicked off
it's
Facebook.
Not yours.
No, mine's better than that.
We could turn it around if you feel better like this.
No, that's kind of awkward. Oh, well, maybe. Okay,
a good composition. You see a good composition when you can turn it around.
It matches my shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is an abstract over here. You can see over here. This is an abstract wall right there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a very creative space. I love this space. So anytime I visit Vienna and I visit Stefan and Ralph and anyone else who is here, Vienna it just feels like creativity. It's a beautiful city. I'm putting a plug in for Vienna.
Yeah, but it's just for you that Vienna feels like creativity.
No, I think a lot of people, well, yeah.
For me, Vienna feels like
Like home?
Like home, yeah.
Yeah, like there's work to do and responsibilities and, you know, all those things. Yeah. No, I guess that's what happens when you live in a place. But Vienna is a very romantic city. I mean, the art here is amazing. I'm putting a plug in for, you know, Vienna here because I think it's important that people visit if they have a chance. There's some great galleries. You know, you can find some great Egon Schieles and Gustav Klimts and, you know, so a lot of other fabulous artists here. Great galleries.
Andrew Judd. Sometimes
Well,
you
sometimes-
even find Andrew Judd in Vienna.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I have sold a few paintings here, that's for sure. Spent a lot of time in the cafes here, painting in the cafes themselves. Which, themselves? What does that mean?
I don't know.
I painted right in the cafes with a little paint box. I did that many years ago. And yeah, it was. I just fell in love with the city. And the people here are just great. At least these ones are. Yeah, they're great. I don't speak German very well. And when I do, it's not also very well. But anyhow, I'm going to continue with English. And Ralph is going to translate.
No, I won't.
You're not going to?
I think you get crazy. But if something is important, I will translate.
Okay, all right.
So I don't think I have to do
Okay.
too much.
Okay. So Stefan and I are doing a plein air course here, and I think you mentioned that. Did you already?
Yeah, but
I'm doing it in English.
Yeah, yeah,
Because there's
yeah,
some-
because
there are any
otherwise it
English
doesn't count.
speakers out there? Hi. That's nice. It's a great course, I think, because we're all getting together, a bunch of us, and painting outdoors, which is the whole idea of plein air. And there's some beautiful scenes. You know, the city's fabulous. The buildings are amazing. And it was very windy today. It was kind of tricky. A bit sunny in places. That's why my face is so red. I forgot to put on sunscreen. We also had it very cold in the morning, and then it got warmer through the day. Anyhow, you don't need a weather forecast. This is plein air painting.
It's not a forecast, it's a backcast.
That's
actually.
true. Actually, you're right. It's much easier.
How was the weather yesterday?
It's much
Could you tell me?
It's much easier to talk about yesterday's weather. Good point. Should we forecast for tomorrow?
No.
No, okay. We're just going to have fun. That's what we're going to do. We'll have fun tomorrow. So one of the things that I was teaching today, so we're kind of taking turns teaching, Stefan and I. You know, one day he's on and the next day I'm on, kind of thing. So far I've been on 2 days and he's only been on 1, so he has to teach tomorrow. That's the deal. So I want to talk about, I want to share with you some ideas. And those ideas are about the Noten. How am I doing? Oh, sorry. Oh, jeez, not so much.
Yes.
That bare bum fell off the wall. Well, that was exciting.
It's like
You trying to kill me?
No. But I think it's better without. So
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we should take
no,
like.
don't talk about the hammer. The hammer is really important.
Is it?
We
Okay.
can hang it here, so then it's in
So
the middle.
apparently the knitted hammer is important. It's a long story. Anyhow, you have to watch previous streams.
All the previous streams.
Yeah,
you've
they're
done.
on YouTube, are they not? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, people can watch this. if they-
468 hours,
Really?
kind of.
Holy
I haven't
smokes.
counted them, but
Wow. That's a lot. That's a real commitment. Okay. Well, we're going to add some more hours. Hopefully not too many tonight. 'cause-
L'Oreal, das Bild hängt schief.
Yeah. Okay. So during this week, we're trying to, get out and paint outdoors and try some exercises that make outdoor painting a little easier. And when you sit down with the wind blowing and the clouds moving, and sometimes it's rain, sometimes it's sun, it's good to give yourself an exercise. So anyone there who's listening, or out there, who's listening and wants to paint plein air, I'm hoping that what I show you this evening will be helpful It's helped me. I wish I could take credit for it, but these are things that other people have shown me, and I find them helpful. I'm going to paint with gouache. This is actually not a hairspray, just so you know. This has got water in it. But Stefan gave this to me a long time ago. It's really nice, and it's good for gouache. Keeps your gouache wet. Am I allowed to show this thing? How do I do?
Sure.
This is my kind of palette.
But we can switch to the top-down camera, then it's easier.
All right. So.
Do we already? No, just show. I'm not sure if it's.
Can you see it right there? Right there.
Perfect.
Okay.
This is what they see.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the camera where you can.
Where I'm supposed to look. Hi.
Yeah, you're supposed to look here.
I'm supposed
because
to. Okay. They're supposed to look here. I'm supposed to look there. This is confusing.
Just look beautiful as always.
Okay.
Then everything's good.
So this is my palette over here. As you can see, it's rather messy, but I have some basic colors. I've got kind of a red there. I don't have a red out. Yellow, green, which I usually don't paint with, but it's convenient. Here's two yellows, a blue, a violet, a black. A lot of people don't think you should paint with black, but it can come in handy when you need it. I'd like to show you some starts. So I'm gonna do 3 little paintings up here, and then I'll do a larger one here, based on.
So it's 3
starts.
little ones and a larger one. So it's 4.
It's actually 4.
When we talk a little bit, then it will be 10.
That could be even more. Yeah. If we can
I hope you guys are awake and have some coffee.
Yeah, have some coffee. How far are we into? 15 minutes already. Holy smokes. Okay, so I'm gonna start this thing. I'm gonna just make some frames. When I say frames, some outlines. So I'm just gonna take my brush here and paint. Oop, I need more water. There we go.
So
now I know why Stefan doesn't like these panels. Okay, so I'm just going to do these little frames like this. 1, 2, and 3. They're not exactly the same, are they? Look, I ran out of room over there.
One frame is more to the right than the others.
Yeah. Well, we can mix color over here or something. Anyhow. All right. So recently, I've been experimenting with putting color down in the background before I even start. So I don't even know what I'm going to paint when I go outdoors. So I just put a blob of color down. This is pretty bright color. And I'm just going to grab a brush, move that around. I'm going to add a bit of white to it, just because. And I'm just going to put some color in here. All right. So there's the first painting done, ready to go. It's done. It's already ready. Look at that.
Do you want me to dry it with a hairdryer?
No.
I'm really good in using a hairdryer.
You should be. Have you seen his hair? He's a pro.
I tried to hide it, but it's not easy.
It takes only about half an hour for his hair. With my hair, I just go like this and it's dry. Like that's it. Paper towel. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm going to put another color down here. And I'm going to put a bright color. These are kind of almost fluorescent-like colors. They're pretty bright. I add a little bit of white to them because I find that the strength of this is so intense.
In the stream, it won't look that org.
What, that ugly?
In your face fluorescent.
Okay.
Because these colors.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
Look
yeah,
at
yeah.
that. Yeah, they don't look so strong.
This is a really ugly orange
kind of thing.
Pinky orange.
If you start with ugly and then improve it, then it gets better. That's what you're supposed to do with painting. Then I'm going to put down. So I've got kind of a warm color, and then a cool color. And this is not very fluorescent, but it's kind of a nice color.
Ursula Maria asks, where are the socks, Andrew?
I'm wearing socks. Yeah. Why?
I have no idea. Where are the socks, Andrew?
Where are the socks? Yeah, it's a good question. They're
Downstairs.
on my feet. I have used socks to paint with, by the way, just so you know. Yeah,
Maybe Ursula knows that.
maybe, yeah. And
Have you told that?
I told him what?
Have you ever told the story in the stream that you use socks?
That I use socks. So when I do charcoal drawings, I'll put my finger into a sock or put my hand into a sock, and you can make really soft transitions. Yeah, it's kind of fun to do. Anyhow, yeah,
Yeah.
sock painting. Okay. You're seeing the reference here, which is a photo looking towards not the Kunsthistorisches Museum, it is a Natural Historisches Museum.
Naturhistorisches Museum.
Okay, you said it better than me. He's lived here longer than me, so yeah. Say it again.
Naturhistorisches Museum.
Naturhistorisches
Historisches Museum.
Museum. Naturhistorisches Museum.
I did spend my childhood there. Every Sunday I was at the Naturhistorisches
Really?
Museum for years. Yeah.
Yeah, why?
Long story.
Okay. You can talk
They
to me.
wanted to stuff me and leave me there, but
But you
Luckily
grew up, you came out alive. So yeah, the Natural History Museum. It's kind of an interesting museum. There's lots of neat stuff in there. That's why you should come to Vienna, because you can look at this museum as well. I'm going to do this while I'm at it. There we go. Wow. That's pretty,
now
pretty
I'm really
cool.
interested because you brought 3 colors for the background.
3 different colors for the
And
background.
this is the 4th square. So what do you do?
So I'm going to do 3, and then I'm going to do the last one.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what background color you use?
Well, we have to decide based on those ones.
okay. So you take these and then you make one of these bigger.
Yeah.
Now I got
Yeah.
it.
Or if
And
all of
this-
them are horrible, then I'll try something completely different.
You paint my face and just
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly. So it's always good to give yourself an exercise when you're, painting. Push yourself to do things that you've never done before. I got water in my face.
Perhaps
faulty.
because
It's faulty.
you spitted some water on your
I
face.
also
Maybe
did.
this was
Yeah,
the
that's
reason.
true. Okay. All right. So
this is good.
what we did today, what I encouraged the group to do today, was to abstract what you're looking at, and abstract maybe is the wrong word. To try and get the essence of what you're looking at, I think that makes more sense. And we worked with a dark, a middle value, and a light value. When I talk about value, most of you who are painting know what this means, but something light, something medium light, and something dark. And I'm trying to break it down into these groups, these values, because it's easier to compose this way. And composition is a big subject, but if you work on small paintings first and figure out what it is you want to do for the larger one, it gives you a better chance. It's like practicing piano. Once you get your chords right, then you can start to play.
So you play the piece in 3 different
In 3
kinds?
different colors. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I want to use a dark color, and you can see my palette. That's kind of neat. I like the way you guys do this. I'm going to start with a dark color. I'm just grabbing black, believe it or not, and a violet, and I'm going to put some dark shapes in for my first one here against this fairly light color. And I'm just going to imitate what I see in an abstract way. When I'm looking at the reference that I have here, I'm just taking the shapes that I see. These are the trees. Hopefully that is obvious. Maybe it's not. And I'm just squinting down, closing my eyes down a little bit to capture, where the darkest areas are. We also have some dark areas up top here in the building here, which is the Natural Historisches Museum roof. Okay. Because I have this paint going, I can do the same thing with the other ones. Huh. There's a thought. Or I can just maybe take something that's more green. I'm going to take a dark green. Let's do that on this one. Okay, so here's my...
I have a question.
Yes.
Was it on purpose that on the yellow background you used some violet because it's the complementary color, and now on red you use green?
He caught me. He found out. Yeah, that's smart.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you use the complement color, of course, it makes all the other colors vibrate. Not like physically, just visually. So yeah, green and red, they're complement colors, and that just adds a little bit more life to the color when you put it down. You'll see these are kind of like each other. Put that roof in, that roof again over here and here. And if you look at this, of course, you know, what is that? No one knows what this is, but what we're trying to do is build a framework or an idea before we go to something that's more finished.
Sekunstlich asks, why acrylics?
These are actually, that's interesting. So I'm using acrylic and gouache. So acrylic paint dries both dry quickly. Acrylic and gouache dry very quickly. I like to mix them together because when I do that, the gouache allows you to move the slightest amount of color around when you're painting on top of it. So it is a mix. It's almost like a 50-50, although I did go in I used white gouache with each one of these colors. So it allows the surface to retain the color a little better. It's just, I've been experimenting with this and I like how it feels. Painting gouache straight over acrylic, you may find that it doesn't adhere as well. So that's one of the things that, you want to make sure that you have a solid surface when it's dry. So that would be something. I don't have an orange yet, so I'm going to grab an orange for the blue, right? But I want something a little darker. This is actually kind of a magenta. So I'm going to go with a red and just kind of create an orange that will work with the blue for the darks. So I'm going to put this down here. As you can tell, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take this red here. I want to darken this down. So I'm going to darken it down with a violet. I don't want it a middle red like this is almost like a middle value. So I'm going to darken it down. I could even bring a bit of black into that. So now I've got like a very dark, I'm going to call it a dark orange. I'll put a bit of yellow in there. And then do the same thing here. And it's not straight black. I'm not going straight black. I'm just trying to create something that works well against the blue. And got my little shape here. I like when these textures happen like this. I think I did something wrong there. I'll fix that later. The nice thing about acrylic and gouache is that they dry very quickly. You've got something to work with later. And gouache will move as well. So when you're painting with gouache, you can bring it alive again when you add water. Okay.
Apo has a question.
Yeah.
So you mix the gouache with the acrylics instead to put it on top of the acrylic underpainting.
Yeah, so I don't... what I'm going to do is end up painting mostly with gouache. So this would be my start, and I'll finish mostly with gouache. If I want to add acrylic later, I can do that, but I like the idea of being able to move the gouache around if I need to.
So it's more kind of a soft underpainting.
Yeah.
Because you haven't even waited till the underpainting was totally dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for example, here in the yellow, if I want to, I can move that gouache around, right? It's not permanent. So this is a technical thing, but it's a lot of fun to work with because you can, soften the edges, change your values a little bit just by adding water with a brush like that. And it creates a little bit more of, when you've got sharp edges, you want to soften them down. This is a nice way to do it. And by the way, you can also take your acrylic gouache mix, paint over it with gouache, and then afterwards work with a workable fixative or a spray, and work in oil on top of that again, just to create more, variation, more confusion. Yeah, I was trained as an illustrator, so we had to find ways of working quickly. Usually we didn't use oil. Acrylic and gouache or casein. We used to use casein in the studio, which is a milk-based paint. We needed things that would dry quickly because the clients wanted things overnight, and yeah, it was interesting times. So working quickly doesn't necessarily mean better. It's just a way of working. So now I have kind of light, light, light in the background and sort of a darker value here. I can look at midtones. I'm going to go into areas that I feel, could be like throughout, could be white. I'm just going to take straight white with maybe just a tiny touch of yellow and just put it in these areas right here. I don't always go right to the edges. I kind of like the colors that peek through. I don't know why. Just it adds a little bit more vibrancy. If that makes any sense. Like so. Where might I find white or something very light? I'm going to go into the sky and bring in just a hint of blue. Not very much. It's almost white with just a bit of blue. And let's put in a bit of sky here. How are we doing for time? We okay?
You're perfect.
Okay. All right. I'm going to do the same over here. I didn't put the white in there, did I?
No.
I forgot. Okay. And I do like the way these colors pop through. It gives you a nice feeling, a nice sort of harmony of color. A little bit more white. Any more questions out there?
No.
No?
No
People
questions.
are falling asleep.
No, people are watching and are stunned by your painting.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
At least I am. Don't forget, when you're stunned, you people out there, don't forget to press the like button.
Oh yes. If you like it.
No matter if you like it.
Oh, even if you don't like it.
And if you don't
press the
like it,
button.
just write in the comments below that you don't like it.
You don't like it. That's okay. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, I'm going to go back to this one here and just bring in a little bit more white right here. Okay. Okay. So now we have basically 3 abstracts with color. How far do you take these? Well, you can take them as far as you want. I've got a dark, a kind of a light. I don't really have a middle value yet. So I'm going to...
The background is the middle.
Yeah, the background is kind of a middle value. I'm going to bring one other color in and call it my middle value for the building. So I'm just going to put something in here. I'm going to use the same color on all of these. We'll find out which one we like best. You might have to help me with that.
Oh, I think we ask the chat.
Or we can ask people online.
The Kunstlich has a question.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, did you work as a freelancer or in an agency? Do you still work as an illustrator?
I don't work as an illustrator anymore, but I did many, many illustrations over the years. And that's definitely made a difference in the way that I paint. You know, you develop a certain drawing skill and confidence, I think, when you work as an illustrator. I ran an advertising company for a number of years. So that meant some art direction. You know, this is, I mean, I've been doing something visual for my whole life, really, when I think about it. It's, I think some people have a natural ability to sort of look at composition, figure things out. I don't. I actually don't have a natural ability for this. I've had to really think about what makes a good composition. You know, is it the negative shapes, the weight of the paint, you know, changes of values. I mean, I've read a lot, and there is a certain intuitive process to it, for sure. But there are some general rules. One of the rules is a rule of thirds, which is kind of interesting. I'll show you what that means, what that looks like. So the rule of thirds is when you take a shape like this, you break it into 3 this way, and you break it into 3 this way. And your focal point, your focal areas should be, yeah.
Sorry.
How did you do that? Why did you do that? You don't like that square?
Tic-tac-toe? No?
Tic-tac-toe. Perfect, I love it. So your focal areas really are more interesting when they're offset a little bit. So in these areas right here. And that just allows the viewer to get into the painting more. If you have it centered, it's very formal, it's a little bit boring, in my opinion. Sometimes you want a formal image, but for the most part, you want to allow the viewer to find their way into the painting. So when I look at this, I've actually got the building up in the top right-hand corner here. That's what I've done there. And here there's like a more weight that is happening in the lower 2/3. I'm going to call that 2/3. It's not quite. And so that gives me a sense of being able to get into the painting this way with different weights. So heavier weight, lighter weight, even lighter. Trying to break it down that way. Does that make any sense?
Perfect. It makes perfectly sense. Petra says, it's very interesting, Andrew. We are listening and enjoying.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Petra. Petra?
Petra.
Petra. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Petra. Okay. All right. So, I don't know. Is there a favorite? Can we take a survey?
I don't know. But sag's doch mal im Chat. Please tell us. Number 1 in yellow, number 2 in red, or number 3 in, what is this color called? Let's call it blue.
It's a blue.
Just let's call it blue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and now we have to wait for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Do you have a drink?
Yeah, I just had a sip on my.
Okay.
Oh, unless this is yours.
No. This is mine.
All right.
This
Cheers.
Cheers. Because
This is Künstler oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. To keep
Diesel.
the engine running. Keep the engine running.
Annette says 2.
Okay.
Kevin says red.
Okay. Which is that?
Which is also 2.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So let's wait for. Antje says 3 blue. Shawnee Pawnee says number 1.
Okay.
Red, yellow. So is it okay if I make some? Okay, so we have red, 2 red. 1 red, yellow, blue, the blue one.
Okay. So far, blue and red are tied.
Sylvia Voss says, thank you for this possibility to watch and listen what Andrew is compositing and painting. I prefer the yellow one.
Uh-huh.
So,
oh, now we're in trouble.
Dietmar Stiller says blue.
Okay.
I would say, since in 2 weeks we're at Dietmar Stiller's, we're guests of Dietmar Stiller at Kunstfabrik in Hanover.
Uh-huh.
we do what he says.
Okay.
We make blue.
We're going to make blue? Okay.
We make blue.
all right.
Christina also says blue, so it's
Okay, looks like blue 1.
blue 1.
Okay, excellent. All right. So let's try and do something a little bit more comprehensive. So having, this working, and actually it's, when you look at it on screen, I can see how that's strong, right? The blue and the, it's kind of an orange. It's a darker color against the blue. Yeah, it works. It works nicely. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing except larger, which will take, let's see, I'm going to grab this blue. Need a little more blue paint. And this is, I don't even know what blue it is. It is ultramarine blue? No, I used this, this was this one here. Yeah. Which is fluorescent blue. Okay, well let's use the fluorescent blue. All right. They're kind of like each other.
Fluorescent.
Okay.
Neon.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to start with this. And you can see I take a lot of care doing that. I'm going to get a big brush.
This is like a master of some ancient Asian technique.
If only.
Yeah, you practiced this movement for 30 years, all of your life.
And then you die.
And yeah, but then you can make this masterful.
And then someone else sells your paintings for fortunes. But at least you have benefited someone.
And we can see that.
Okay. I'm going to grab a little bit of that blue there. Also, it's fairly close to this. So now it's a combination of gouache and acrylic, and it's blue. And I'm not going to be too careful about how I leave the colors. You can see those lines through there. Huh? I'm going to bring a little bit more texture. And you don't have to paint wet into wet with this, but as it goes with time, that'll happen a little bit here. Okay. All right. And the mix that I had here was it's kind of an orange. I used red, put a bit of yellow into it. I'm going to bring more yellow in. And I want an orange, but I want it to be darker, so I'm actually going for black. A lot of artists say never use black, but there's nothing wrong with using black.
But is it true that even in the black color, it's not black pigment, but mixed pigments from...
Yeah, definitely. Different blacks have a different sort of color cast. For example, ivory black is more blue, and it's more transparent. I don't use lamp black. I haven't in years. I like ivory black because it's more transparent and there's a bit of coolness to it. Yeah, the black is just a way of knocking down the chroma, knocking down the color, so that it's not so important. The funny thing is that, once I do this, I'm going to be bringing some greens in because I think, while the trees are kind of green, but this is going to give me my base. So I'm going to start here. I'm using the knowledge that I gained here, whatever that is, just to put in some darker values. And I'm not trying to mix all the colors flat. I'm letting some of that color underneath come through, which I think is more interesting, honestly. You can always go back and clean up color if we need to. It's just paint, right? You can go over it when you need to. I'm using a bigger brush than you would think you might want to use. Work with big brushes because it forces you to simplify. When you guys do these live streams, you get into really comprehensive things, don't you?
Could you please define comprehensive?
More detail.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I'm less interested in detail these days. I don't know why. I just think it's the mystery of what we're looking at, which makes it more intriguing somehow. This is looking nothing like my reference so far. So I'm looking at it abstractly, in a sense, or intuitively. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You just think in shapes.
Thinking in shapes.
Yeah. Susanne Stiller says, a warm welcome to Andrew.
Ah, Dankeschön, thank you. So I'm looking at shapes, not things, if that makes any sense. I just want to try and get some kind of shape that makes sense to, to the overall. Okay. I'm using, a fairly, it's not a huge brush, but it's one I feel comfortable with. Now I'm going to grab, it's kind of a piece of rubber, basically. It's like a brush, right? It's a piece of rubber. And I'm going to start painting with this a little bit, because it leaves these nice crisp edges and textures. And you can see, it overlaps at the bottom a little bit, but I don't care about that because I can go back and just push that color up out of the way. Get a little bit of transition, like so. You'll notice it took a little bit of the color off that was underneath as well.
Because it hasn't dried yet?
It hasn't dried fully. You can work very quickly this way. It's a really fun way to work.
Thomas Crown says, what Andrew teaches us, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Leonardo da Vinci.
I do like that. That's nice. Yeah, definitely less is more. We spend a lot of time trying to get details in that really are not that important. They're really not. What we want to do is get the essence of what we're looking at. I'm pretending there's a light hitting the building there.
It is kind of.
It is a little bit, yeah. And I also want to bring in some kind of sky. I'm going to do that also with a smaller one of these rubber paintbrush things. When you work with it's kind of imitating palette knife. That's what this does, but it's more forgiving. Like I can take things away with it as well. So if I want to take some color away, it's kind of fun to do.
Like an eraser.
Yeah. These are new for me. I've just been playing with them in the last few months, and I really like them. I think they're just so interesting. So I'm going to take a light color. I've got my dark, my middle, and light colors going right here. So I'm going to just take this light color here, see if I can make it work. And I get to change my composition if I want to make it more interesting. I can bring the light down this way. And you can see you just scrub it around until it looks right.
So thank you, good night.
Yeah.
Just scrub it around.
Until it looks right. So many years ago, there was a fellow student that went to the same art college that I went to in Toronto, Ontario College of Art. And he was an amazing painter, and I always loved his work. And one day I had lunch with him. We were chatting. You know, we were kind of friends. And I asked him, how do you make your paintings look so good? And his answer was, I just keep painting until it looks right. And I wanted to hit him. Like, I mean, that's totally not helpful in any way. But it's also true in its own way. I just keep painting until it looks right. So just building the sky up a little bit. It's a lighter color. I've got my light value. This is kind of like my middle value here. And I want to accentuate that just a little more, that middle value. Bring this into the building more. I'm really going with kind of crisp, straight edges, which for whatever reason seems to bring more believability to your painting. I don't know how that works exactly. It looks more confident. And now I'm kind of working intuitively here. So I'm thinking, as I'm working this, I'm thinking also abstractly. I'm not trying to draw everything very carefully. You can bring in a couple of details later that make it feel like, you know, there's something that's right in the drawing. But I'm more interested in the overall feeling of this. I think I mentioned earlier that I'd like to get some green going. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab a green. By the way, I don't usually like to use a green out of the tube. I prefer to mix my greens. So don't ask me why I'm doing this now. But it's quick, it's cheap, it's easy. Okay, so I'm going to go into some of the greens. Trying to keep roughly the same value. Maybe it's a little bit lighter. And how's it looking on the screen? Does it look okay?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Sekunstlich says, the sketch is currently in the apocalyptic stage.
I love that. Yeah,
And
it's true.
Claudia asks, what's the brand of the gouache paint?
So this one here, this brand is from, well, they call it Artist Loft. So there's a company in Canada called Michaels. And yeah, I don't know if you can get this here, but
Maybe
there are
not.
lots of, like Winsor Newton make a good gouache, and so do Holbein. There are lots of different gouache paints out there. I don't think the brand is terribly important. I'm saying that, and I know there are better gouaches than others. But yeah, it's, I didn't answer that question very well.
Oh, yeah, the brand is Artist's Loft.
Artist Loft.
Just when you buy some gouache paint, make sure that it's really only gouache paint and not mixed with acrylics.
Yes.
Because I used a gouache paint that was mixed with kinds of acrylics.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good point. Yeah. Because you can move the gouache around. If it's a true gouache, it doesn't have acrylic in it, then you can continue to move the paint around.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with the acrylic gouache, once you put it down, then you're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah,
Of
but the
course,
companies don't always tell that
they don't.
in front that it's
they
not
don't.
only gouache.
Yeah, they
Alice
don't.
Haring says, greetings and hugs, Andrew.
Hi, Elise. Nice you're here visiting. It's been a while since we've spoken. Elise is a very fine painter. So far, I'm getting the feeling that I like. And And you know, it's quite abstract right now still. I mean, there's not a lot of detail. I'm going to go into some grays. And just bring some grays in here. And I'm going to grab some more of these greens. Maybe liven up the greens a little bit. I'm trying to keep the same general values without changing. You know, I want my light, my middle values, and my darks. That's what I'm really looking for. So I don't want to change my colors up too much. You can change your color and keep the same value. That's the idea of these things. I may need a couple of dark accents afterwards, just to make this work.
Türklinke has a question. How do you mix your greens?
Usually with any combination of any yellow or blue. Sometimes it's an ochre and a blue. So green is one of those colors that a lot of people struggle with. And one of the ways to kind of take the greens down into something darker is to bring in reds, because that's a complement color, right? Any yellow and any blue will give you a green. And that could be yellow ochre, that could be cadmium yellow light, that could be cadmium yellow. You can use ultramarine blue, you can use a phthalo, you can use cobalt. There's so many options as far as blue, as far as greens go. And it's one of the most difficult colors really to sort out. If you're painting outdoors, you want to try and imitate, ideally, the color that is important within the scene. Is it the light that's really showing? For example, if I just take the yellow here and just lighten this just a little bit, I can bring some, stronger, lighter color in, and that gives you the sense of light and shadow.
Done.
Yeah.
The painting's done.
Yeah, almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
Almost, yeah. How are we for time? We're still okay?
We have time for 3 other paint. No, don't say this.
Yeah, careful.
Maybe 4.
Maybe 4 more paintings?
Maybe, no. Cans of beer. No.
4 cans of beer? Is that what you were going to say?
Oh.
Cans of beer.
I'm just going to bring a little bit of another value in here to create a sense of shadow. And I'm going to bring in a little bit lighter color. I want to break these shapes up a little bit down here. I kind of like the way the blue's peeking through here and there. It's kind of fun. You don't have to leave it like that. You can always go back and put blue in behind if you want to. This is a stage where when it comes to sky holes, or whatever you want to call these things, getting a little bit of light coming down through the trees, and maybe we bring our eye down into this area even a little bit, so there's a path here that finds its way up into the sky. Also kind of like this shape here that comes down away from the building. So this is really more impressionistic than it is realistic. I just want to get a feeling for what's going on here. I'm not trying to be super accurate. And this is a way of painting. I mean, there are a lot of people who really probably hate this kind of painting. They want to see all the details. They want to see everything. But I'm more and more interested to see the essence of something, the feeling of something, than I am in trying to sort of show off and say, hey, you know, I know how to paint every window, and I know how to, you know, make this look so believable that we all get it. I want the feeling. That's what I'm interested in. So now I'm going to step outside of my kind of value range here. This is okay. I think there are things that are working, but I want to bring in a little bit more excitement in the color. So I'm going to add a violet in here. I'm going to go with a red violet. Add a little bit of white to this. Maybe more blue violet actually. And start to play with some of the shapes that I see here, just to add a little bit more color in the surface. And the value hasn't changed a whole bunch. Maybe slightly lighter in areas. This area down here, I want to introduce some of that. And I'm going to go back into these whites here, these light colors. They don't have to be so white, so light. The nice thing about gouache is that it's so forgiving. You can change your mind anytime you want to. There's a little detail. These are actually like vultures or hawks or something. Do you know what these are?
I think these are hawks.
Okay. And now I want to take this, these kind of rubber kind of brush thingies, and let's put a little bit of detail into the steps. I don't have to do all the steps, thankfully.
Yeah, but at least you should count them.
Oh, really? Just putting a few lines in that are precise gives the painting a little bit more authenticity. It shows that the artist wasn't shaking too much. And now, just because it feels right, I can't explain why, but this feels right. I want to create a little bit more warmth, a little more intense color closer to the church, because that's where I want your eye to go. And while I have this thing in my hand, I can also break that up a little bit so it's not so obvious. Okay. I'm going to grab a little more white and open this area up just a touch. So at this stage, you know, what are you doing? Well, looking at the whole thing, stepping back from it and trying to figure out what is needed, you know, what do you really need? I feel like these walls could be just a little bit less deep. I'm just pushing the paint up at this stage. Different textures. And now I want to get into some really chunky darks, because right now I feel like it needs you know, that final, I don't know if you know, but John Singer Sargent used to put his darks in right at the very end, which I was surprised to find out. He would work from middle values out towards the extremes. So once you start getting some really chunky darks, this whole thing should give you that full value range that you need to make this thing work. Just a couple of them, you don't need much. And then all the other ones, the other values look lighter against it. You can see I didn't finish the sky behind this up top. Not that I have to, but it might look a little better if I do this up here. Is that rain we're hearing?
No.
And maybe I want to bring a little bit of this color down here. And I'm still not really very happy with. These are sort of like gates that give you an entrance into this. And if that's an entrance into it, then maybe I need to think about bringing the eye up into that area a little more. Like so. And there's some kind of vertical thing going on. I have no idea what these are. Oh, they're these sort of little things that go around the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Just going to pop a couple of those in. Just because it makes it look more interesting. So it's kind of there. I mean, what do you think? Any suggestions, Ralph?
No. Stefan is also finished, so
Uh-huh.
no, not finished.
Thoughts?
Hungry.
This would be about as far as I would take something like this, honestly, in the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
We
want
could
the impression.
Zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh.
So, ich hoffe, ich habe jetzt scharf gestellt. Ich glaube aber schon.
When I look at this now, I see this area up in here needs a little bit more refinement. Just a little more definition. Like so. And I miss the peak of it, which would be really nice. I would paint up there further. If I'd been really careful, I would have organized myself a little better. And there are also a couple of little dark areas here. Just a few little details. You don't need a whole bunch. These aren't even there. I'm just putting it, well, they're kind of there, but I'm just putting them in just because.
Türklinke asks, birds?
Birds? We could put some birds in.
And Annette Bayer says, I love the blue in the background.
Yeah, having the blue peek through is kind of fun. Yeah, I agree. If you put a color down first before you start painting, it starts to harmonize the whole thing. And yeah, it sets up a color harmony.
Petra says, like the looseness and color composition.
Thank you, Petra. So I could start fiddling away with this thing a lot, and I don't know if I would improve it. You know, it's just a case of putting down, getting a feel for it. In some ways, you know, the original sketch, if we can call it that here, has all the strength, really. This has a little bit more detail without it being too crazy. And the temptation is to do, you know, to bring something in that's not needed. I'm gonna, it's really not needed. Why would I do that? So I'm looking at it when I see it on the screen, it's a little smaller. I want to do something that leads the eye more to the building. So I'm just going to take the highlights that I see right there and just open that up a little bit more so it's not too dark. Maybe we got a little bit over here, and maybe we even have something that happens over here as if the light is picking up on this area here. Yeah.
Dietmar Stiller says, I love seeing a different approach than Stefan's style of painting here. I currently see a bit more artistic but skillful freedom in Andrew's work.
Really?
This is what he says,
Okay.
and I don't think he's lying.
Well, thanks, Dietmar. You know, we all paint in different ways and different styles, and some are more precise and some are looser, and some of that comes down to temperament. You know, Stefan's always called me a lazy artist, and he's right. I don't want to spend more time than I really need to. I want to capture the feeling of it, but I also 100% admire what Stefan can do when he's painting, because it's very clear, he's very concise, his drawing is amazing. So, you know, there are a lot of different styles out there, a lot of different ways to work, and it's important to find your way, you know, the way that you feel comfortable with. And it's only by giving yourself exercises and trying different things that you come to who you are as an artist. And it's challenging. I mean, and you're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to change. No one says, hey, you know, you have to do this way. There's no one way. So, yeah, it's that's what I love about painting. I love that you can express yourself your own way, and you will always change and always grow and move in a direction that is more you. So, yeah.
Türklinke says, looks harmonic. And Dietmar says, so I'm a very lazy artist too. Yeah, daily painting. He paints a painting every day.
Is that right?
Yeah. So he's not a lazy artist. And Marple says, there's Vermeer method of projecting image on painting.
Mm-hmm. Vermeer did, yeah. The camera lucida. No, obscura. I think it was camera obscura.
Obscura,
yeah.
Dietmar Stiller says, agree with Andrew towards Stefan's skills and motivation to get things done. So, we are lazy artists. You are a lazy artist. Are you a hungry artist?
Depends what you mean by that.
You don't have to eat this.
No, I don't have to eat this. No,
but it looks delicious, so maybe...
Am I hungry? No, I'm not hungry.
No, because I would say we could finish this and go for a Bosna.
That's an interesting idea.
and remind the people that they could invite us for a Bosna. Invite us for? No, not for. Invite us to a Bosna, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Invite us. So let's make this. If you want, if you want to invite us to a Bosna or to a week in Malibu,
even better.
Here you find all the details how you can support us. Vincent Schüller says, I love the blue in the background too, and how the blue dissolves in the green part of the trees. And Patrick Pauli says, Andrew, which artists inspired you most when finding your style?
Oh, that's a good question. So there have been some artists that really have made a difference for me, whose work I love. I think I mentioned his name today. He was an illustrator. He was a phenomenal artist in so many ways. Compositionally, he was phenomenal, just really amazing. His name was Bernie Fuchs, Fuchs. Bernard Fuchs, phenomenal artist, and respected by so many in the illustration community. He was the youngest illustrator to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in New York City, and he was an extraordinary artist. Having said that, of course I have my favorites like John Singer Sargent. I love his work. Joaquin Sorolla, I love Sorolla's work. They were just very fine painters. Are you seeing Fuchs?
Yeah, but I haven't found the real.
Yeah, Bernard, look for. I can do it. Yeah,
people can Google it.
Bernie Fuchs,
Yeah.
Fuchs, illustrator. Fuchs. Yeah, phenomenal. Well, his compositions are just extraordinary, truly. And I love some of the Russian painters. Just the thickness of paint, the loose feeling that they have. I can also add Stefan Nützel to my file because we've painted so much together over the years, and he's always inspiring. We always, learn so much from each other. There were times when we would be painting outdoors, and I wouldn't know what I was doing next. I didn't know where to go, and vice versa. He was sort of in the same position, and we would literally switch I would go to his easel and he would come to mine, and he would clean it up and finish it for me, and I would do the same for him. And, this is a unique thing. There are not very many artists who feel that comfortable. But we always, we got along really well. We enjoyed each other's company and respected each other's abilities. And, if you can find someone who inspires you, like a living artist who inspires you, that's really something special. It's worth looking for. If you see someone's work that you really appreciate, then approach them. They may be open to it. So Ralph's a great painter too. I mean, we've painted together, and I think you painted the best chickens I've ever seen in my life.
You still remember?
Yeah, I do. They were so amazing. And I tried to paint a chicken when I got back to Canada, and it was useless. It was a piece of garbage. I was angry at Ralph because
it was my best 5 minutes of my whole life when I painted the chicken.
Yeah, famous 15 minutes. No, it's we get inspiration from a lot of different people. Yeah, for sure. And always, go to the artist whose work excites you, and ask yourself why. What is it about that artist that you find interesting? And keep a file. Save photos. Keep a clip file. Well, we used to call it a clip file, but now keep it on your device. Go back to it for inspiration, and push yourself and find out what it is that makes you work, what you enjoy. We're all unique. No two artists paint the same way. It just doesn't happen. So finding your way is the right way, and you find joy in that. Yeah.
Okay, so then Uli Geiger says it looks delicious, the painting.
It might be. We can taste it a little bit.
So then let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me say it in German because it's easier. Nächste Woche gibt es keinen Stream. In 2 Wochen gibt es einen Stream von der Kunstfabrik Hannover. Und wer auf die Nummer schaut, wird sehen, es ist der 150. Stream. Wir werden uns da was ganz Besonderes überlegen, aber wir sind in der Kunstfabrik Hannover, das ist schon was Besonderes. Also lasst euch überraschen. Gibt es nächste Woche irgendwas? Es gibt nächste Woche nichts. Nächste Woche habt ihr frei. Aber lasst es euch nicht zu gut gehen, weil in 2 Wochen sind wir wieder da. Ja, sonst gibt es nichts zu sagen, außer schalten Sie auch in 2 Wochen wieder ein, wenn Sie mich sagen wollen, hören. Gute Nacht.
Gute Nacht. Dankeschön.